Okay, Ian Stuggy with Mastermind Games here. This time painting Gastone Crosse from the Mercenaries faction of Warmachine. So, since he shares the name with a more well-known character, a little warning first. Parents, if you've got your kids in front of a device on autoplay, you might want to take a look here. This has nothing to do with Disney's Beauty and the Beast, either version. This character just happens to have the first name with the character from that film. This is going to be a painting video, and going to be about an hour, maybe longer. And if you're just, plop your kids in front of a screen so you don't have to interact with them, this may bore them to death. Okay. So hopefully anybody who just, had their device on autoplay that doesn't want their kids seeing this has paid attention. So Golden Skin 09092. Okay. So Gastone Crosse is a journeyman warcaster from the Mercenaries faction of Warmachine. And while he does have the same name as the villain from Disney's Beauty and the Beast, that's pretty much all he's got in common with that character. Actually has a little more in common with Disney's Aladdin. He's basically grew up on the streets as a thief, and he found out he had latent warcaster talent when he stole a magic gun. Yes, he actually has a magic gun. Olive Green 09035. But Crosse is pretty much self-serving. Decided that the laws of his home country of Lael, now conquered by Cador, were not doing any good for the citizens. Were basically meant to keep the affluent nobility in power, which obviously didn't do him a whole lot of good, but found the Cadorans to be a poor substitute, eventually hooking up with the Laeli's resistance and learning how to use his abilities under the tutelage of the veteran warcaster Ashland de Elise, which is actually one of my favorite non-Cephalix casters in Warmachine. Now, what can I say? I like Excellenthexus, I'm good with him. And I'm probably going to be repainting a lot of his armor. I'm trying to go for the cloth here, but it's a bit hard to tell. Okay. I think I figured out what's supposed to be what here. So I'm just going to worry about getting his pants right now. And a little cloth is showing from underneath his armor. So it's all going to be armor boots, so there's more armor on him than I thought at first, but that's what it is. Let's see here, and I think he's wearing gloves. Okay. There's not much else I can get right this minute, aside from touching up his face, which I nicked with the olive green. There. Go ahead and start on his weapon, I suppose. 09206 Tarnished Steel. I'm still saying that word very awkwardly. I don't know why. But yeah. Magic soul stealing gun. That's what Gastone Crosse uses. Now he has a second version that is a full warcaster, while this is a solo, a journeyman warcaster. But talk more on that in a minute once this dries a bit. I think I need to let this dry a bit. So Come back in a minute. Okay, next up, 09197 Old Bronze. Make sure I'm in camera. Again, I still need to find a better camera that works for this a little better than the one I've got. Preferably something I can wear, but I'm having trouble finding one that I can actually afford. I don't even know if a GoPro would be appropriate, but those are very expensive and out of what I can do. All I can do is just keep looking, and sooner or later I'll find something I can work with. Okay, anyway. So, Gastone Crosse was one of 6 new characters created for the video game Warmachine Tactics. Privateer Press had been trying to do a Warmachine video game for several years, and eventually did a Kickstarter to do a turn-based strategy game after plans for an action game fell through, and the result was Warmachine Tactics. The way it was supposed to work is one of these 6 new characters for Cador, Signar, the Protectorate of Menoth, Crix, Mercenaries, and Convergence of Cirrus would be journeyman warcasters, i.e. warcasters in training, and the game would follow the story of each. It shipped with the Signar campaign, and Crosse would have been the Mercenary campaign. Unfortunately, it just did not get much support after the release, and while it shipped with Signar, like I said, the other 5 campaigns never came to be, though the models were included in the game. This is the general release sculpt, but I find the general release sculpts are actually more dynamic than the Kickstarter exclusives, which had more static poses. But yeah, I did not back that Kickstarter. I did not have the money at the time. However, it is a shame that it never really went anywhere, because it did have potential. But it is what it is. Okay. Alright. But in the tabletop game, all of these journeymen did get models, and they now all have second versions as full-fledged warcasters, including Crosse. I don't know if you're hearing all that noise, but I've got new neighbors moving in and out. It's what happens when you're living in a condo where most units are rented. You get new neighbors almost every other month. Okay. That's all bronze. Can start on his hair. So, 09039 Rainy Gray. Actually, that little booger might be enough. That's the only thing that Crosse has in common with Gastone from Disney's Beauty and the Beast, and that's black hair. You'll see how this works out as I get to the shading and highlighting. And my downstairs neighbors are making quite the ruckus. And it's alright. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'll just go ahead and let that dry. Move on in a bit. Okay, next is Army Painter Grimoire Purple. So, Reaper Master Series, which I've used for years, is starting to get a little unreliable, so I'm gradually shifting to Army Painter. So, yeah, you're going to see that over the next year or so, whatever. I used to use Citadel paints, but then they reformulated several years ago and made a really bonehead move of waiting about a 6-month gap between the time the old stuff was discontinued and the new stuff was available, so everybody either panicked and bought everything they could, or, like me, switched brands. But there's nothing wrong with them reformulating, but it was that gap they left that was problematic. I'm mostly just wanting to get the shoulders there, and I think this little bit on the back right there with this. Oh, why not go ahead and get the hilts of his daggers. Because Crosse was using knives long before he found, or rather stole, his gun. I'm going to take Tarnished steel again, if I can find it. Just take a tiny little dot of it. And pick out these 2 skulls on his scabbards. Then 09110 oiled leather. Get his goggles. And this bandolier. Belt. And the grips on his daggers. His gloves. And the straps on his boots there. Trying to make sure I've got everything before moving on. Looks like I'm in good shape. Then 09161 Shield Brown. He's just got this patch on his pants here. Just going to get that separate. And here as well. Just getting those in different colors. On the inside too. And after all, Crosse was, you know, living on the streets. For most of his life. Okay. I'm going to take that tarnished steel. Just nick the lenses of his goggles real quick like. I'll take that Grimoire purple one more time. And just do these sections on his breastplate. I think this section of his gauntlets. Just to add a little more color. And since his knees are kind of asymmetrical, I'm able to do the plate right below the knee on the left leg and the knee itself on the right. Taking that old bronze and getting the screw inside on the right knee. That's pretty good, okay. Let that dry and insert shading. Alright, next layer of, next is shading. There we go. Army paints Wasteland soil. About half water to half paint. Woodstain Brown 09160. This is Reaper Master Series. Zero 9205 Blackened Steel. That should be enough. Then pure black 09037. Carefully getting that on his hair. Okay, let that dry and move on in a minute. Alright, next step I think is going to be 09109 Ruddy Leather. Where is it? Yeah. This is just the step I'm at. At this point I can really only do one or two at a time until all the shading's done. Just how it goes when you're this far along. Again, about half paint, half water. Being careful on the goggles as I want the strap, not the lenses. Taking some caution on the bandolier as well. Okay. I think I can go ahead and get his skin tone. Maybe not. Yeah, I think I can get his skin tone. Golden Shadow 09091. Okay. Let that dry, move on in a bit. Okay, next. Age Pewter 09196. Yeah, allergy season has decided to come back for one more go today, so that's where I'm at. Being careful around here not to nick the steel or the violet or the leather.
A little tricky right there, getting the, okay. Again, sorry about the sniffing. Allergies literally just start acting up again. It's just seasonal stuff. Comes back in the spring and towards the end of summer. Good grief. This came out of nowhere too. It's just annoying, that's all there is to it. Okay. Act! Well, that sucked. Alright, no damage. Okay. So that's just gonna leave the green. Let's get the top here. Okay. That just leaves the green, and that's it for shading. Okay. Let's see. 09034 Muddy Olive. This will be the last shade. Just being real careful not to nick the skin. Okay, that's the last of the shading. Now, 09039 Pure White. A little bit more than that. Carefully. Let's make sure I'm in camera for this. I still do need to get a better one, but again, it's having trouble finding one that will I can wear. So getting his pupils, or his, no, I think sclera, the whites of the eyes. I'm not sure if I'm using the right word for that. And then the inside of the smokestack. Let's see here. And these vents on the boiler there. This section of his weapon. Yeah. Okay. Switching to a bigger brush. Go ahead and get started on the arc. This again would be the front arc for the model. Since again that's a game mechanic thing. Okay, let that dry, move on a bit. Actually, yeah. This looks like a heat vent or magic vent to me. Alright, that's a little better. Okay. Moving on a bit. Alright. 09037 Pure Black. Gonna do a couple of details here. Just a tiny dot. Just very carefully dot in pupils. So on pupils, if you make them look too tiny, it'll make the character look crazy. And get the gun barrels. Okay. A little more on that one right there. Okay. Now, Marigold Yellow 09007. Get some lighting started. Assuming the paint pot collaborates anyway. Oh, okay, it's cash. Oh, I got a spare though. Somewhere in here. Somewhere. Yeah, here it is. It's gonna take a little extra shaking since it's a completely new pot. A tiny dot will be plenty. Give this a fair bit lighter than usual, so inside the smokestack, along the boiler on the back, and as well as this vent in the arm. Tie it all that this is part of the armor. Then a dot of sparkling amethyst 09105. Which is plugged up. Nothing a paperclip can't solve. That's plenty. That's just going to go right here on the pistol. His stolen magic gun. And then Sun Yellow 09008. Which is also clogged. Okay. Again, paperclip to the rescue. Got that a bit too close to the violet, but I'll have to just roll with it more quickly. So, the color to the arc. And let that dry for a bit. Highlighting now. Golden highlight 09093. Pure black 09037. Pale olive 09036.
Driftwood Brown 09162. And then Army Painter, Orc Blood. Zero 9198 Tarnished Brass. And that's shot. I have a spare though. Just need to find it, but I know I've got one. Here it is. Okay, that's where did my box of paper clips get buried at? Okay, where did my box of paper clips go? Nope. That's only... Okay, I got it. That was a little different. Zero 9111 Burnt Orange.
Then I need, where did I put it? 09207 True Silver. Just carefully getting the goggles. Skulls on his daggers, and then the barrels of his weapon. Then Adamantium Black 09124. Which is plugged up again. And just horrible, wretched sound coming from it. Let's try mixing this up a little more. Well, that was something. I don't know what, but it was definitely something. Let's go over the mechanism of the gun here. Above and below, so shiny barrels and dark metal on the other parts. Okay, that is the highlighting. Now all I need to do is straighten up the back of the arc. Alright, so move that back so you can actually kind of see it. Get him centered on the 30mm mark here. About the way I want him. Where's the brush I need there? So taking pure black again, 09037. I think the threads on that cap are a little off. It's alright. Okay. I'm switching to a larger brush to finish it. Okay, now all I need to do is flock it. Okay, time to flock the base. White glue in a convenient container. This is an old Gatorade lid, Gatorade bottle lid there. So, some of this stuff you can literally find lying around the house. And plenty of water. And a sacrificial brush. Mix it all up, get it even as you can. It's glue solution there, okay. And painting around the feet of the model. Now,
This is a slot base, so I've covered up the slot with masking tape. I did that before priming, actually. This will keep the glue solution and the flock or other base material in the base and not under it. If you don't cover up that gap, then, well, it'll reflect when you do the flocking. Leave a little trench there. And dip in the flock there. Shake off the excess. And using an on-hand dry brush, just push it away from the parts on the feet you don't want, if it sticks anywhere else. And that needs to sit for a bit. Okay, last step. Scenic cement. Again, that's a sprayer brush on adhesive. And an eyedropper. Glass. This stuff will bond to a plastic eyedropper and ruin it much more quickly, while a glass eyedropper, it will not. So the better care you take of your tools, the longer they will last, and just carefully drop it in, otherwise you'll end up with holes in the flock. Clean out the eyedropper by just running water through it several times. Just so they don't spill this, which I've done before. And that is it. Is it focusing on what? Not really. I really got to get a better camera. Anyway, that is Gastone Crosse from the Mercenaries faction of Warmachine. Going to do a Warhammer 40,000 model next, and then go back into Warmachine for a bit. Until next time, I am Ian Stuckey with Mastermind Games, signing out.